Venga. Can we start?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, because nobody is telling anything, so I just kept quiet. Okay, so students, what we have done is I started last session, and because this will be my second last session, so I try to continue on something new or something which you are not learning in your regular courses in an offline mode. So last time we discussed a little bit, we touched upon on blockchain and all these kinds or metaverse technology. And, you know, Harinakshi ma'am, can you enable the screen sharing?
I think it is done. No? 1 second. Yes, madam.
Okay, fine. So this year, so this session and the next session is also the continuation of some technology which we will be studying. So I just was working 2 days on this, and I went through a lot of content online. I spoke to some of my friend also and thought, what can be the future technology we can talk about so that we should be prepared. At least we should have knowledge about it. So everybody, spoke about one thing which I'm going to today do a session on that, and that was Web3 technology. So today my entire session will focus on Web3 technology. Just give me a few seconds. I'll just put it on slideshow. Okay, can you all see?
Yes, ma'am. You can see.
So the Web3 technology is something which I'm going to talk about today, students. And this is a very important technology, and there's a lot of misconception, a lot of myths. So I did a lot of research, went to a lot of online tutorials and videos, and did according to what I understood, I prepared the content. I hope this will be useful for you all. So when we are talking about Web3 technologies normally, so we talk about what is three in web, okay? Because Web3 is not similar to something called Web 3.0. Just give me a few seconds, please, right? So there are three major technologies which we are going to discuss in this particular thing, and a concept of something called decentralization. So we will be talking about Web3 technology. In that, we are going to talk about blockchain in a way, how it works in non-financial sectors, and how it will become the future of internet, the cryptocurrency, NFT, and decentralization. Along with that, there will be a lot of terms which will be used. We will be talking about like D5, DAO, and all those kinds. So whether you ask investor or any other venture capitalist, capitalist outside now, or maybe any kind of a techno entrepreneurs, you will, and if you ask them about Web3 technology, they will always say they have a knowledge that Web3 is going to be the next big thing in the technology. It is going to be the future, and everything you do, right from posting the content, and on the web to make a financial transactions, and everything will be turned into tokens stored in a blockchain. So the entire web technology will be based on blockchain. And depending on who you are, where you are, and what you know, it may really sound sometimes very awesome for some people, those who are technology enthusiasts, and also terrifying for some people who feel that, oh, see, blockchain is very difficult to understand. And sometimes it confuses people that how can a concept which is purely related to bitcoins or financial transactions has
Ma'am.
to do, yeah.
Ma'am, before proceeding with the Web3, can you give us some brief introduction regarding Web 1 and Web 2?
Yes, I'm coming to that. So I'm coming to that, okay? Because I was just talking a little bit, background of that, and then I'll come to Web 1, Web 2, and then how Web 3.0 has come. And what's the difference between Web 3.0 and Web 3? Because we are not talking about the web version, like we talk about industry 4.1.0, 2.0, then 4.0, now 5.0. So I'm not talking about that, but still I will tell that it is there in my, session. So when we are talking about these, basically we are talking about decentralization, blockchain technology as a Web3 technology. So what is there in Web3? So in order to understand the number 3, especially in Web3, let us, this number 3, that what are these? This 3 means 3 main technologies, which is going to become the future of internet or future of technology, whatever you say. Okay. So we are now going to, as sir was asking, we will now talk about the evolution of web and start with Web 1.0. So the original World Wide Web created in 1990s was called Web 1.0, which was a first version. And on this Web 1.0, the thing was that most of the contents was static. Static means that people were the consumer of the content. There were no two-way communication. It was a one-way communication. There were no two-way communication between people and the website. So you as a user go to our website, you consume the content, that's all. There's no interaction between this user to interact or do something on that. So it was a static website in Web 1.0. So we consider Web 1.0 era to be between 90s and 2004. Till then we had a static web with one-way communication, and everything was very static, no interaction, no interactive web, which we normally say. Then came in after 2004, from 2005 onwards, the Web 2.0 era, where the social networking side came, and a lot of tools and a lot of platform came, which made it easy for people to interact and not only become a consumer, but also create and publish their own content on the web. Like, for example, the social post, the pictures you are posting, the stories you are writing, or whatever you are doing on a social media, the post you are doing is a content which you are uploading on the site. You are able to publish that on certain platform. So the interactive web came as a Web 2.0 version. And this web went from being static resource to being very communicative platform, interactive platform. So this revolution started with a message and many people came up with a blog. Many people started doing, started the concept of blog, and the social media platform was used by the people to express their content, to publish their opinion. So like this, the Web 2.0 gave rise to an interactive web. And based on this, the next evolution of the web should be Web 3.0, right? But the question is, what that evolution would be. Will it be what the Tim Berners-Lee, who was the inventor of www, suggested that he said, one of his article I was reading, and he suggested that the next evolution of the web will be a semantic web, where all data is machine readable and it can be parsed by machine learning algorithm and AI through APIs, the world of APIs, which is already existing. So one app can interact with the other app through an open API. So this was a prediction which was done by the inventor of www, Tim Berners-Lee, that we will have not the static but a semantic web. There were other researchers also on those paper. They suggested that it will be a spatial web. So I'm a professor, so I read a lot of research paper related to any topic. This is my habit. It comes into our genes only. So reading one article in that, Tim Berners-Lee said that's about the semantic web, and there are other people who did a research and said that there will be a spatial web where we move from interactive with the web on rectangular scheme to have an embedded environment around us, which is what we are going to talk about, like a metaverse. Last time we talked about that, where not only a particular user is able to interact or publish the content, but there will be a virtual space or experience which he can experience. So that kind of experiential web will come around. And that's why last class I said that metaverse is the evolution of internet, or will be the future of internet, where from interactive web, we will move into a spatial web where everything we can experience virtually. And we can become embedded, that environment will be created where we get that experience or 3D experience of that. So immersive web. So smart speakers are there. It is already proving all those kind. A lot of IoT devices are there, which is actually the spatial web example. It could be the metaverse is creating huge wave among the people or the technology. Most of the companies are surviving, from Facebook to every company is surviving and trying to make their space in the world of metaverse. So a lot of people, the users know how to create avatars and interact through their avatars. The machines like VR and AR goggles are very, very commonly used from last so many years. It is already there in the market. So all these ideas, all more these kinds of things are the setting of the premises of decentralized web, where the data is distributed among users and it is available everywhere. Okay. So this is the, from, as I said, from semantic web, which the Tim Berners-Lee said, then spatial, and now metaverse. So this three together will lead to something called decentralized web, which is not existing at present. It is evolving, but maybe, because that I will talk about the future also in the last slide, that how will it come or not, and how it is going to, how the web or the internet is going to look about, and how it's going to, you're going to see that, and what are the major changes which are going to come, because it's not very easy, because a lot of legal framework, regulatory protocols have to be changed. So internet entirely is going to be a decentralized, because now at present it is a centralized web. So the so basically, when I talk about decentralized web, it stands in the contrast where we are today, where most of our services and application or data are centralized under one large platform or company. Like, for example, if you are going to Facebook or Instagram, so Instagram and the Facebook is a platform or a company which is a centralized, which controls those data, which control those kinds of interaction on the website or everything about that. So all these ideas combine to paint a picture of a possible future, which is called Web 3.0. So when there is this other thing, so whether Web 3.0 is similar to Web 3 or not, because see, if you can see here, there is a difference here. There is a space between Web and 3.0, which is a continuation of Web 1.0, Web 2.0. Here, if I'm writing via Web 3, so what's the difference between this? And this is something which I was speaking to one of the journalists who actually called me. She's a senior editor journalist in what you called in Deccan Herald, and she was speaking to me. She was taking my opinion on something on airline industry, and I just thought we were speaking a lot. And ultimately, I asked about this, and she said that people in the technology, in the IT firms, know only about the technology which they have learned in their college or something they have done the course. But the people about what is coming up or what is evolving, they don't have any idea. So one of the simple things which we were discussing about, and I thought I'll put that into the slide, was that what is the difference between Web 3.0 and Web 3? Is it the same thing? So this idea, Web 3, was actually introduced when I did a research and found by Ethereum. I will take you to the site and show you. So Ethereum, you know that it's a blockchain, a company, or they form the community. They're the biggest one in that. They also sell NFT and all these kinds. So the co-founder of that particular company is Gavin Wood. In 2014, he started this company. And he was a person who came up with a lot of publication and research on decentralized and tokenized web ecosystem, which is totally based on blockchain technology, where everything is decentralized. We manage all kind of data on blockchains. So this Web 3, when we are saying Web 3, basically, sorry, I'll just go back. So when we are saying this Web 3 technology, this Web 3 is totally talking about the technology, not about a version of the technology, version of the evolution of the web. So this should not be mixed up. So where we say that Web3 is an umbrella term which consists of all the blockchain based technology, which includes decentralization. We're going to talk about that today in that session, which includes cryptocurrencies, which also include decentralized finance, non-fungible tokens, NFTs, and decentralized autonomous organizations. So today, my session will be focusing on decentralization. What is that? We have to understand that. You can, in detail, you can go ahead. I will just be touching upon that and tell you what it is. And cryptocurrencies and crypto mining, decentralized finance, non-fungible tokens, decentralized autonomous organization, which we say DAOs. So this is where the future is going. The data, well, normally the data is taken from a centralized corporation and bank and handed over to the individual user in the decentralized world. That means not a single company or a bank or somebody is holding a data. It's in centralized way. So that also we will understand in the next slide. So when people talk about Web3, they are probably talking about decentralization, cryptocurrency, blockchain. Please remember that. On the other hand, when they are talking about the Web 3.0, which may include all kinds of technology, which includes AI, machine learning, IoT devices, with sensors, cloud computing, and everything. So Web 3.0 is Web 3.0 is a combination of semantic, spatial, and decentralized web, and also metaverse. So Web 3 is an umbrella term. This is what I gathered from all the articles which I read. Just a minute. Sorry. So Web3 is an umbrella term which is describing the possible future of web promoted by those people. Now at present, those people are pushing towards Web3 technology, those who have invested in cryptocurrencies and blockchain, and those who want the evolution of the web in the form of Web3. So Web3 is decentralization, blockchain, and the cryptocurrency. These are the three things which is there in the three. So Web3, again, as I said, the name for the next version of the web, it's a very specific vision of the future of the web by certain number of a community of people who have this understanding that the premises of Web3 will be taking the power. The goal of developing this Web3 technology is to take the power away from large centralized entities or companies like bank, social media platform, or any company which is providing any web services, and handing that power to all the individual users. So according to Web3 supporters and the community, this can be achieved by placing all data on distributed, decentralized blockchain, which we discussed some of this point in the last session. Or maybe a concept called decentralized storage. I'll talk about that also today. And also turning all financial transaction into transaction on the blockchain. So because the blockchain is decentralized, we have discussed this, and decisions are made on the conscious consensus that some community people come together. We have seen in Amazon how you can manage a network of people and we can create. So there is no longer need for a centralized authority now if this technology comes up with a power. So centralized power can't exist in this decentralized future. Everybody has a power. Everybody has a control over the asset that lives on the chain in the website. So idea of Web3 is very much a pushback against surveillance capitalism. I don't know whether you people know about this. Its surveillance means a foolproof security oriented capitalism. Okay, just a minute. Okay, just give me 5 minutes. Just give me 5 minutes. I'll just come back. Okay, sorry about it. So, okay. So that means that Web3 is basically a very secure transactions or any a kind of a secure thing. Anything happens on the web, it is getting recorded, and there is a full security. Nobody can do any kind of a goof up in that. And also, it is going to come up with a power of a world. So it's going to take, as I said, the power from a centralized and give it to the people. And the entire global economy is going to build on blockchain. So decentralization is going to make people manifest the feeling of this powerlessness in them when they are actually dominated by the digital world, how it is today, by so-called free services. But I always tell the students that the free services which you get, actually, you are a product to the company, you're not a consumer of that. So normally the companies use you as a product, and so that is how these companies use you to manipulate the user by giving them free services through the ads. So you are a product to them, or maybe a kind of a recommendation algorithm. That is also a kind of a thing which a company is gaining out of you by giving you a free product. So nothing is free in this world. So it is a manifestation of what I called that a world where the problem can be solved if we just throw enough technology at it. And the biggest problem is in implementing this is the regulation. Okay. So when you are talking about the regulation, Bitcoin, the first true decentralized cryptocurrency, which grew out of 2008 financial crisis. And the creators saw how centralized banks were able to speculate with other people money, crash the entire banking system, and then run away with the profit while regular people suffer the consequences. So what if we build a global currency bypassing the entire banking system? That is what was the thought at that time about it. So the government have no now, and that in that way what will happen is the government will have no control over the money. Everybody is free to do whatever they want. So this is not going to happen so fast because there's a lot of loophole in this. The decentralized blockchain is the technology which is built on laissez-faire capitalism. Laissez-faire capitalism in the management term says that very lenient, no bureaucratic approach, that there is somebody who has a power and he controls everything. And you have to just follow the order. The autocratic approach, opposite of autocratic approach is laissez-faire capitalism, where everybody has a power. Everybody has a decision-making power. Okay. So this way of thinking, through the entire Web3 ideology. So important to understand the two characteristics of this ideology. First, everything becomes a transaction shared forever on an immutable ledger. Okay. And the second one, everything on the blockchain is tradable value because it is on blockchain. So when Web3 was proposed, every transaction on the web, right from uploading a file to posting a social media status update, or to make a payment or appointment or checking your health record, ends up in the transaction in Web3 as a token on a chain, which can be traceable. So there's no fraud which can be taken. So it's a world of tokenization. Okay. So each transaction and token has a potential value. Okay. And everything can be traded. Everything. Creating these tokens, actually, there's a lot of talk in the media. When I was going through this research paper, also I saw some YouTube video by some of the media people saying that crypto mining is very harmful for the environment because it consumes a lot of electricity, consume a lot of heat, and all those kinds of stuffs is there. That also we will be talking little bit. So creating this token takes energy, which is paid in cryptocurrency. So earning cryptocurrency is, how do you earn that cryptocurrency? So earning cryptocurrency is done by verifying and Adding new block to the chain, we already know this, that we have to add a new block. So whenever a new block is added, it is opened. Okay. So earning cryptocurrency is done by verifying and adding a new block to the chain. The entire Web3 ecosystem is centered around how do you create a scrutinized token, a tradable asset, and assigning a value to the asset. So this Web3 is to re-engineer the entire web ecosystem to build a blockchain technology and make a distributed blockchain in the single chain, from social media posts to finance to property deal to medical record, whatever it is, all kinds of thing can be written in the form of, or can be stored, or can be tradable in the form of blockchain. So some of the venture capitalists and the platform who are trying to promote this and who are trying to work on this web3, they are basically having only one particular objective or one goal, that they want to take away the power from these billionaires, and build a kind of a Web3 technology where the power is in the hand of users, not a one particular centralized body or a centralized company. And the most valuable data source in the world will become the blockchain. And accessibility to the blockchain and control of the blockchain will not lie in the hand of company or the government. It will lie in the hand of the user. So this is the Web3 goal. The entire web ecosystem will run on decentralized blockchain, tokenize all the data on the web and make it tradable. So this is what is the aim. Now let us talk about those three, in the Web3 technology. The first point is decentralization. So decentralization is something which everybody is, visualizing, and every big technologist have a vision that decentralized can be the future of the web. Okay. And that can be the third stage of the web, or maybe, you can move into that. So decentralization of the web, what is decentralization of the web? So let us understand that. So decentralization of the web is like making a service, like, for example, a simple website which has a chat enabled in it, available to people through the web. That services must live somewhere. Now, I'm talking about today's atmosphere. When you are making a website and you have in that a kind of a real-time chat, every website has a tied chat. And these are interactive chats where a person also can interact with the web. So this services has to be hosted somewhere. And typically that particular thing, we call it as a web host or cloud host. We keep it there. This host becomes a single source of truth for the website or for the chat app, which is integrated in the website. And everybody interact with it through that host, whether you are doing on the Wix platform or whatever host or AWS. So there is a centralization of the service in this traditional way. The service is located at a central location. Centralization is easy, effective, because we are dealing with a single source of data transfer and data downloading. It is also, along with the simplicity, it also has a challenge, because it makes service reliant only on a single point of failure. Because centralized control over the data, people feel at one time, and now also certain company feel, even bank feel, that centralized database or centralized control over the data is the most secure way and most valuable. But on the centralized web, if the centralized host goes down, the service goes down as well. And on the centralized web, the large centralized platform like social media, like Instagram or Facebook, owns and control the content. And also they control the interaction which is happening from the user side on these services. That means that they can apply the content moderation, they can refuse the service, even they can block the access based on factors like whether you're located, where you are located, what's your history of interaction. For example, like Donald Trump was, banned. So, so that means that, like Twitter, so they have banned Donald Trump. They have blocked his account. That is called the centralization. When the power of the interaction of the entire services of one particular service is in the hand or located in the hand of the host who's hosting and providing that interaction, they can do anything. They can control the entire services. So decentralization is trying to solve these issues by distributing the data between all the users on that platform. So there are many ways of doing this. So there are two examples of this. One is called federated decentralization, and the other is called absolute decentralization. Okay. So in the federated decentralization, what happens? Mainly, multiple different autonomous and independent data sources exist. And all are mapped together to operate as one cohesive unit. So all these are multiple different autonomous data source, and all of them work in one cohort, one cohesive unit. So example, instead of your post on a social media site sitting on a centralized host like Facebook or Instagram, they may sit on any of the hostess service you choose and then be federated or combined with the other post from the other service, which will appear as a cohesive whole. So you may choose to post your service on Instagram, or maybe you may choose to post your service on somebody else, platform. The same service, same social media post. So that is a concept which is very difficult to actually digest, but that is what the decentralization says. So the data does not live or does not stay with one central location. Each individual user has a control over their own data and they decide where they want to host it. This model is fast and does not require a lot of power. But the only problem is if the data is lost on one of the node, it can happen that it can be lost in other nodes also. So the other solution for this is the absolute, decentralized system. In absolute decentralized system, what happens? The full copy of the data are distributed to all the participants. In the federated, a part of the data, like part of the Facebook post, will be in one. Another fragment of that will be with the other host. Okay, like this, you will have part of the data stored everywhere. You can fragment and store it in it. But in the absolute decentralized, what you can do is you can just save your data to this particular, just a minute. So you can just save your data in the absolute in different users, with different users. So multiple copy of your same data will be available. That means entire data is multiple copies available in different users. And so in this, the full copy of the data is available, distributed to all the participants in that network. So when a new participant want to access a data, they can pull it from whichever source is closest to them. And this model can be fast. It requires a lot of computing power, and the update has to be distributed. One challenge: whenever you're doing an updation, it has to be distributed to every node in that cohort. So in return, you get a persistent data. Losing one does not matter, like a federated decentralization, because the copy of the entire data set exists everywhere. So you have multiple copy existing. So in both these models, federated and absolute decentralization, no centralized authority owns the data and control the access. Instead, everybody owns the data. Each user can control who access their data. At least that's the goal. And when you hear about, people talking about decentralization and also taking the power back from the big corporation and the platform, or even the bank also, uh, you know, then and also the main goal is about removing the middlemen, which is the intermediaries. So that looks impossible most of the time. When I discuss this with the student, I was discussing before discussing with you with someone, in the session with a group of MBA students, and they were saying, "Ma'am, it's not possible. How can you have it? It is something which looks like a myth." So the classical Web 3.0 projects over a federated decentralized model, a blockchain based Web 3 decentralized model. So let's see how they are going to progress and how we're going to make. Because when we are talking in the last slide or the last part of the session, we will also discuss that whether it is possible or not, how it is getting promoted. But at least knowledge should be there. Okay. Now, we are going to, when we are talking about Web3 technology or decentralized technology, there are certain abbreviations and acronyms which we should be familiar with. So I'm going to talk about that. And these are very much technology which are in sync with blockchain technology. They are the applications of the blockchain technology in the different worlds, like financial and all over the news. They are talking about this. A lot of research work is going on in this because these are all evolving technologies. So these are connected to blockchain, as everything is connected to Web3. Everything is connected to blockchain. So let's see the first one. Okay. So the first one is called DeFi. And I was today when I was in my office, and there was some finance faculty who came to meet me for some purpose, and I was talking to them, and we were talking about some research paper, and I was discussing this DeFi with them, and I said, is it possible that we can publish a paper and we can do some research on this? And this is where the future is going to lie, decentralized finance. In a simplified way, when we hear about decentralized finance, we think financial transaction without a bank on the blockchain. We mean that. So what is a decentralized finance? The decentralized finance, just opposite to a centralized finance, doing any financial transaction without a bank on the blockchain. So decentralized finance uses something which we're going to discuss later called smart contracts, automatic self-triggered logic function on the blockchain, to offer peer-to-peer, P2P financial instruments. So instead of using bank, brokerage, or exchange to transfer money or make investments or to do any kind of financial transaction, everything happens on blockchain. And it is through security and control is through smart contract on the blockchain. So there is no expensive intermediaries in this. That means the whole point is that D5 try to get rid of the expensive intermediaries, which is bank. Bank is nothing but an intermediary. You should agree to this, because what bank is doing, it's not generating money or minting coins. It is just taking money from you and lending your money to the other people and gaining interest on that. Some part of it is giving to you. So it's an intermediary to borrow and lend money. So that particular thing can go off with this decentralization. Okay, that is what it is. The main aim is. So the goal is, as I said, to get rid of this. The other term which I came across was GameFi. And this is a name, a decentralized game that integrate with blockchain technology to turn game rewards into money. Okay. So you can trade, you can invest and borrow. For example, in GameFi game, you can get paid in cryptocurrency for winning a game. Or you can get NFTs, in terms of that. So imagine so the reward of the game is not virtual rewards, it is a virtual currency which you get paid. Now, you could also buy certain things using this digital currency within the game itself. The game is like that, it's already existing. Or you can invest outside the game and buy things in the real world with your the bitcoins which you have earned. So that GameFi, so there are various several GameFi services which is there already, which is surviving, where people are doing that. And the people who have made money in bitcoins playing this game, some people are in a full-time paid job. When I was discussing, one of the students told me about this, and he said, yes ma'am, we can do that. And then I was asking, I was really understanding, and I'll show you a video also. In that it will be shown that how these people make money. These people are making money because these things are basically what happens when you are playing the GameFi. You have to become a member of a community, like how in the blockchain. And then you have to, every player has to invest some money. And that money also, that person who wins will get that. Okay. So that is the thing. The next thing which is associated with is called DeSci, which is nothing but decentralized science. Decentralized Science Foundation says that the Web3 technology, such as the decentralized storage or smart contract, or maybe the the organization is dealing with that, will enable the new possibilities, how science is evaluated, financed, because there's a lot of science project which which doesn't continue because of lack of funds. So crowdfunding can happen on that, and it can be shared with the world. So no one company or one country will say this is my science project. They can combine the resources on decentralized work with the other country and come out with a lot of innovations, a lot of invention in science. So this emerging new technologies have the potential to contribute to the scientific ecosystem, which is verifiable because blockchain technology is verifiable. So there is a lot of ideas. So I read something in the website, and I have put it on the slide, which says the contract decentralized organization DOA enable new possibility for how science is incentivized. So scientists will be paid. The scientists will be evaluated on their talented and collaborated. There will be funding which can come in the share world. And these emerging new technology will have the potential to contribute to the scientific ecosystem. And everything is verified, everything is fair, everything has a high quality, and everything everybody get rewarded. Nobody can say that, oh, I contributed more, I got less. So those worlds will not be there. So when we are looking into something, these acronyms will further go on increasing. That means D with something else, like decentralized, something else will come on. So today, when I was searching the net, I got only these 3 words, and I bought, maybe there may be other word also. So let us see the decentralized world.
So what's the future of finance? Is decentralized finance better than the current financial system? What problems does it solve? And does it have a chance to improve or completely replace traditional finance? You'll find answers to these questions in this video. Before we begin, if you want to learn more about decentralized finance and the technology behind it, make sure you subscribe to my channel, hit the bell icon, and enable all notifications. You can also consider joining us on Patreon and learning even more about DeFi. The financial system that we know today went through decades of technological advances. The earliest attempts to make finance more efficient started as early as the 1920s with the introduction of accounting machines and punch cards. This was followed by the rise of the mainframe computers that significantly sped up the banking system in the 1950s and beyond. The next revolution was the invention of ATMs and credit cards that started being popular in the 1970s. Also in the 1970s, another important element of the financial system, the stock market, started going through a radical transformation. Manual order entries and loud trading pits started being slowly replaced by computers and algorithms. From the 1990s, thanks to the growing adoption of the internet, the computerization of finance got supercharged. Accessing bank accounts, making wire transfers, buying stocks, all of these operations were now possible from the comfort of our own houses. Then comes the fintech revolution. PayPal, Robinhood, TransferWise, Revolut, and other fintech startups understood the tech-first approach known from other non-financial tech companies and offered their users seamless access to financial services. A completely different experience when compared to the clunky banking user interfaces. Despite a century of innovations, the financial system is far from being perfect. Settlement of stocks, bonds, and other financial instruments takes days to clear and requires a massive amount of human capital involved in the process. Key decisions impacting millions, if not billions of people are made behind the closed doors by a group of privileged few. Billion-dollar banking scandals that surface months, if not years after the fact. Massive inefficiencies and high cost when it comes to international banking and remittance services. Unequal access to financial services with billions of unbanked people across the globe. Banks hiring thousands of employees just to keep maintaining inefficient processes and being compliant with ever-changing banking regulations. A super high barrier to entry for the new players, making it almost impossible to start a new financial company without access to the massive amount of capital, stifling innovation. The whole financial infrastructure consists of siloed systems built with proprietary technologies and algorithms that each company has to make from scratch. The beautiful user interfaces provided by fintech companies only cover the fact that the financial system is built on old and inefficient foundations. Something that seems to be instant for the user can take days to fully process behind the scene. On top of that, the backbone of the financial system hasn't evolved much since the mainframe computers were introduced. This is exactly why we need something new, something better that can address some of these problems. And this is where decentralized finance comes into play. Instead of relying on old and inefficient infrastructure, decentralized finance, or DeFi, leverages the power of cryptography, decentralization, and blockchain to build a new financial system. A system that can provide access to well-known financial services, such as payments, lending, borrowing, and trading in a more efficient, fair, and open way. Efficient, as all operations are settled almost immediately. It doesn't matter that counterparties may be in completely different geographic locations with inconsistent laws and regulations. On top of this, most of DeFi protocols can operate with no or minimal human involvement. Fair, as all services are completely permissionless and censorship resistant. Permissionless, as everyone with a browser and the internet connection can access them. There is no document verification, no need to provide income statements. Nationality or race doesn't matter. Everyone is treated in the exact same way. Censorship resistant, as no other parties can deny us access to these services. Even multiple bad actors cannot change the rules of a sufficiently decentralized system. Open, as everyone can build a new DeFi application and contribute to the ecosystem. In contrast to traditional finance, new applications can leverage the existing protocols and build on top of existing solutions. On top of that, everything is transparent and visible on the blockchain. Trading volume, number of outstanding loans, total debt, all of these can be reliably checked on the blockchain. Even better, these numbers cannot be tampered with. All of this is possible thanks to the invention of Bitcoin and Ethereum and their underlying technologies. In particular, Ethereum, as a smart contract platform, allows for creating any arbitrary financial applications. Because of these characteristics, Ethereum became a go-to blockchain for the vast majority of DeFi activities. Decentralized finance has recently been experiencing tremendous growth. Some of the key metrics are total value locked in DeFi. This represents the value of all tokens locked in various DeFi protocols, such as lending platforms, decentralized exchanges, or derivatives protocols. This number has grown from less than $1 billion in April 2020 to over $32 billion in February 2021. Another important metric is the trading volume across decentralized exchanges. This figure has grown from around $500 million in April 2020 to over $50 billion in January 2021, a 100x increase. Total value settled on Ethereum has reached over $1 trillion in 2020. This is more than PayPal. And all of this is not only limited to cryptocurrencies that, as we know, can be quite volatile in nature. Stablecoins that track the value of fiat currencies, such as the US dollar, also experience tremendous growth in the DeFi ecosystem. The market cap of USDC, a popular stablecoin in DeFi, went from less than $1 billion in April 2020 to over $6 billion in 2021. Another one, DAI, went from less than $100 million in April 2020 to almost $2 billion in 2021. Now, to understand the value proposition of decentralized finance even better, let's go through a few common problems in traditional finance and see how they can be addressed in DeFi. But before we do that, if you made it this far and you enjoyed the video, hit the like button so this kind of content can reach a wider audience. Let's start with the recent situation in the stock market, the famous GameStop saga. After discovering that GameStop stock, GME, was overly shorted by some of the hedge funds, users of a popular Reddit group, Wall Street Bets, started buying GME as they believed this could initiate a short squeeze that would result in hedge funds having to buy back the shorted stock, driving the price higher. At some point, Robinhood and a few other stockbrokers came up with a controversial decision to disable the possibility of selling GME and a few other stocks. A situation like this just wouldn't be possible on a decentralized exchange like Uniswap. There's no one who can disable or alter the trading capabilities of the platform. There is no single authority making decisions on behalf of the users. DeFi democratizes access to trading. This situation exposes another problem: decisions made behind closed doors. A group of people deciding to shut down trading, or maybe a bunch of bankers deciding what the best interest rate is for millions of people. In DeFi, interest rates are adjusted automatically based on the supply, demand, and risk parameters of certain assets that are configured by the protocol. Even if some DeFi lending platforms allow for changing certain risk parameters, all decisions are publicly visible and changes are voted on by multiple people who govern the protocol. What about this problem, paying 10 to 30% of the value of a bank transfer just to send money across the globe? In DeFi, you can send USD-based stablecoins for a fraction of that cost. Even better, they will arrive in a matter of seconds. With the settlement of different assets measured in seconds instead of days, the counterparty risk is dramatically reduced. Accounting: every record is publicly available on the blockchain, so accounting becomes super easy and can be most likely completely automated. This can dramatically reduce the human capital needed. Unequal access to financial services: a DeFi protocol doesn't care who you are, it just follows predefined rules that are exactly the same for everybody. Although DeFi presents us with a unique value proposition, it comes with its own challenges. It brings more responsibility to the users who are now truly owning their assets, so they have to make sure they store them in a secure way. There is not a lot of hand-holding here, especially when interacting with new DeFi protocols. There are still certain regulatory risks, although things like KYC or AML cannot be enforced in the DeFi protocols themselves. The regulator may try to force wallet providers or dev teams responsible for certain protocols to add KYC requirements to their user interfaces. Scaling is another issue that has to be tackled. The popularity of DeFi resulted in a tremendous demand for the block space on Ethereum. This in turn results in high gas fees for the users. It's not uncommon to hear about $10 or even $50 Uniswap transaction costs.
Okay, so I'll just post the video of link in the chat. You can go through that and you can see it's a long video. I have to cover a lot. Let's
So what's the future?
see about, I will also stop this video in between because this is about the gamify, which is already existing. So let's see this.
Welcome to Whiteboard Crypto, the #1 YouTube channel for crypto education. And here we explain topics of the cryptocurrency world using analogies, stories, and examples so that anyone can easily understand them. In this video, we're going to explain why almost all play-to-earn games die and what needs to change for them to become sustainable. This video is going to cover 4 reasons why all these games die, but let's get into the most obvious one first. The money must come from somewhere. When it comes to play-to-earn games, the idea is pretty simple. You play the game and you earn money. Well, where does that money come from? To keep players playing, it would seem that you would need to keep paying them. Now, there are tons of ways you can pay these loyal players, but let's go through a few different ideas now. Number 1, new players. Many play-to-earn games follow this model, whereby money is pumped into the system by a new player required to buy an item. For example, to play Axie Infinity, you must buy an Axie, which is a character used in the game. When someone buys an Axie, they are putting money into the game that is then, through a series of transactions, possibly cashed out by another player. This is not sustainable because there is no case where every player has made money. If one player makes money, it is made from the money that another player has invested or injected into the game. Almost all play-to-earn games work this way. Avagachi, the Step and Shoe NFT game, Zed Run, the horse racing game, all of these work by taking money from new players and giving it to older, loyal players. So this just isn't a good idea. Let's move on to where the money can come from. Number 2, a membership model. Another way these games can raise money is through a membership model, where they charge all players a set fee to participate and play the game. This is a much better model than the previous model because it means the fee is equal for all players. In the previous example, someone with $10,000 to play the game automatically has an advantage over someone who only has $100, giving wealthier players an unfair advantage. A membership model would look like a seasonal membership fee that is the same for all players, where the skillful players will win the money that the skillless players paid in. To me, this is a much more fair model, but it also leaves a ton of money on the table, which is probably why many protocols don't even consider it. It's also much easier to market that when you pay $100 to buy an Axie, you get to keep that Axie as something that you own, compared to a $20 seasonal fee to play the game that expires once the season is over. The next model is called pay to win. Another revenue option is the pay to win route. Now this one's pretty obvious, and
So this is how in the gamify, how you can form a community and you can play and earn money in the form of
the whiteboard.
Okay. So now the next thing which I want to talk about is about DApp, decentralized application. So modern web is actually a web-based application. You can do that. For example, the edX, from where I normally take up certain courses. So edX is a kind of a non-business organization which has it's started by the one Harvard professor, and there are a lot of you can say it is a kind of a decentralized. They started this platform for online MOOC courses, but a lot of educational institute including IM have put their content on this edX, and it calls IMDX and all. So this is an example of that. You log into the website of the app and gain access to the world variety of the features within that application. So these apps are typically what we see nowadays. The desktop apps are centralized, meaning that the data stream in and stream out of the application go through the app providers. On Web3, where a decentralization is the name of the game, this type of application or app becomes a decentralized app, which is also an acronym for that is called DApp. And DApp has something called smart contract on the decentralized blockchain. And the API layer, the front user interface, and the backend data are hosted on decentralized storage device, which I'm going to talk about later. So when you interact with the D app, you are accessing. So when you're interacting with the D app, what you're doing is you are accessing the front end interface, and that interface then communicate with the smart contract on the blockchain. And the smart contract operate as the de facto API for the blockchain. And for the decentralized storage and control how you work with the data on the blockchain and in the storage. So you have a decentralized storage for these apps where all data get stored. And you have a de facto API built on blockchain. So combining the D app, so the D app is not very complex operation, which it seems to be now at present. But in decentralized, with the decentralized storage and de facto API on the blockchain, it will become very popular. So D app is very user friendly, will have a user friendly interface for the blockchain. As I said, that it will have a decentralized storage, it will have a de facto API on the blockchain. So D app need to actually meet certain condition before it is called as a D app. In order to become a D app, not a web app, it need to have certain important thing in the place. The first thing is that it must be CD decentralized. And this is achieved by placing the smart contract on the blockchain, which I'm going to tell you after this. And the front end and the data stored on decentralized storage. The second is it must be deterministic, meaning the D app perform the same function no matter whatever environment it is executed. And it does not matter if the front end we use is a web-based or an app on your mobile phone. So whether it is a desktop application you are using, or you are using an app on your mobile phone, it doesn't matter. It will work in the same way. So the same kind of input will always produce the same kind of output. The third condition to make a D app is that it must be Turing complete, meaning it can perform any action it's set up to perform in a given enough resources. So if it is isolated, meaning that operations of the D app is not in contract with the other API, then also it should work. That means that even if there is a all API by de facto on blockchain will be an open API, except few government and all. In the decentralized, basically work on that, where you should have all the open APIs. There should be no closed APIs. So the security will become a problem and challenging situation there. And the main objective of any blockchain transactions or anything on the blockchain is that it should be fair, it should be justified, it should be transparent, and it should be traceable. And very important thing is the security of that. So decentralization, one of the major factor which it is focusing is data security and integrity, the privacy, and also sometime it is also focusing on something called censorship, resistance of the censorship. Like for example, when you see that the content which you see on the theaters in India are all goes under the censorship, but the same content, when we see the democracy is there on the OTT platform, there is no censorship over there. When the government is saying, no, we are going to put this also under the censorship, but it is not happening. So this can be a kind of a thing which is there, that there will be a resistance to censorship of what we can do or what we cannot do on these decentralized platforms. So smart contract on the blockchains are little difficult and expensive to update, because whenever you add a new contract, it nullifies the previous one, meaning that. So anyway, not talk about this smart contract now. I'll talk about this smart contract in the other slide. There I will tell you what is a smart contract and how you can make a particular transaction trustworthy. Okay, so let's see that. Okay, so I was also talking about that D app should have a decentralized storage. So what is this decentralized storage? So the core of Web3 is built on blockchain, which we have discussed so far. And blockchain can store any information on the web. In fact, storing anything beyond a basic transaction information on the blockchain can become very expensive also. So how, and it can become slow also. So in order to address this problem, the Web3 technology need to decentralize the storage also. Okay. And connect the storage to the blockchain. So we already have a system that work here, which is P2P file sharing. Okay. So if you are around in 1990s and early 2000, you may remember one of the platform in P2P technology, which was used to share music and video file. And this technology eventually was called BitTorrent. I don't know, some of you might have used it and you may be familiar with that. So that was a kind of decentralized storage. So where you can share a file on a network and someone else can download that file and also share it. Then the other people also can download and share the file. You will have n number of people can share and download that file, the same file which you have put it on that particular platform. So this file persists in the decentralized network. Even if you turn your computer off, that means it is in cloud. So your file is there with multiple number of people can download and share it with the other in the network. So decentralized web storage is a idea where we come up with a term called IPFS, the Interplanetary File System. This is one of the most built out and operational version of the storage where, so how IPFS work? When a file is stored in IPFS, it is packaged in IPFS object, which contain 256 kilobytes of data. I'll just show you that. So this is one kind of a IPFS package where you have 256 kilobyte of data which can be stored. If the stored file become bigger than 256K, which can be many of the size, it's not a normal thing or it's not the highest storage capability. So what happens? The several other objects can get created. And there will be something called an index object. So each object is given an encrypted hash describing the file. Okay. And this serve both as an address of the object in that cluster or as the proof of the object. Also, if somebody tampered it or alter the object under that. So the object are placed on the network. It can be duplicated by any IPFS node. So any computer or the server running on IPFS can accept any new object and this become a part of decentralized storage. So objects are distributed on decentralized network. Okay. And to retrieve a file from IPFS, you send a request with a hash address to the index object to the network. Hash can be like this. Okay. And the matching of IPFS objects are returned to you from whichever node which are closest to you. But this is a bit of a problem because when the file is changed, what happens? Suppose if you alter the file, the hash also changes. In the blockchain, we have discussed that in the last session. The hash also changes it. It means if a file is updated, the address to the file changes as well. And it does not work all that well for what you can update. So to solve this problem, you can set up a mutable pointer, a literal link to something that can be changed over the time. So whenever a new version of the file is updated or added to the network, a new set of file objects are created. Okay. So new version of the file is added to the network. As I said, that new hash and the pointer redirect the point at the new version while leaving the old version with this old hash on it. So that means the updated file with the old hash, which is replaced by now the new file, will point toward the old hash. So you can find out. So updated file, the original file will remain on the network, can be retrievable as a historical file, and it will create a updated version with a new hash. So that is how it's going to work. And the previous hash in the block will connect with the new updated version with a new hash. So it will be retrievable. That is possible only in the blockchain. So by adding any kind, for example, you can add a domain name on the blockchain service like ENS. So Ethereum name system suggests some kind of a ENS services is there. You can go ahead and you can talk about it. I didn't understand that when I was going through that. So you can go through that and Ethereum website, and a lot of things are there on that. So blockchain domains are NFTs that point to a address. So we set up a file on IPFS, as I was telling. You can map the address of that file to your ENS domain or NFT, whatever you want. So the method of file storage and retrievable on the this particular kind of a decentralized storage is different from the one we are using now, even on the cloud. So in a traditional web, the web we are working on right now, you request a file from a specific address, right? In a specific address, and a domain name map on the global DNS system, domain name system, and IP address. That is what we call HTTP or hypertext transfer protocol does. It points at a physical location on the web from which we can pull this file. But with IPFS, you can request the file by querying the blockchain for the address the ENS or NFT point to. And that request is sent to IPFS, and network return the matching IPFS with the hash what you have sent. And it will find out the nearest object because it makes a multiple copy on the blockchain. So any nearest object. So there's no single source or centralized host or the physical single source or physical address which is there. So multiple copies are stored. So the nearest node is contacted with the hash, and that particular file is pulled out from there, which resemble that particular, which has a resemblance with the particular hash. So this is how the decentralized file retrieval system work. You can just go through these site which I have seen, and I found out that there are a couple of browser which maintain a lot of privacy also. Like DuckDuckGo also recently came up with a privacy claiming that you can't be tracked, your browsing history can't be tracked by the other trackers and all. Similarly, you have called Brave. Opera is also very good. So they support INS and IPFS out of the box. So you can see there, you can go for this particular thing and find out about this. Now, what are the challenges of decentralized storage? Decentralized storage is the idea of decentralized storage on the block chain. There are many people who are working very hard to evolve this decentralized storage. But the issues like user experience, user friendliness, the speed, this can become a hurdle in decentralized storage. So I was reading one particular article where there were few issues which were discussed. So I have just put the picture of those issues in this slide, and we will discuss. The number one is that how do we get people to share other people's file? Because it is a kind of a sharing where everybody has your file. So why will a person share your file? So in the traditional P2P file sharing model, which I showed you BitTorrent, where the people were sharing file with the other people wanted, like music, movies, getting other people to store your file was not difficult because the incentive was to have access to the file. So if you are accessing somebody's file, the other person is also able to access your movie or something. So it is like reciprocal. In a truly decentralized storage environment, that incentive does not exist. Means if you are storing somebody's file, you're not getting anything in against that. So that is negligible. Who would want to store your CSS file or any other kind of a file which you have? Nobody wants to do that. So how do you get people share those space on the decentralized? So as I said that if people are ready to share, if they get some incentive, that means if they are sharing something, you're also sharing something with them. But in decentralized, this is not possible. Not always you are incentivized. So what happens? Nobody would like to store your data with them or your file with them in that network. So to get people share their space on decentralized, the solution is there must be some incentive which should be introduced. And the best answer is introduced by IPFS, is a new storage-based cryptocurrency called Filecoins. This is what is suggested in another paper. I don't know whether it's still existing or not, but is it evolving or not? But what happens? You can make space available for IPFS to store file or share somebody else's file in a normal language. You earn Filecoins. So in that way, you pay for that storage with the Filecoins or make Filecoin a blockchain-based cryptocurrency. You can use it to buy a space with somebody, or you can use it outside that also to buy something else. So storage become a tradable commodity. I remember I told in blockchain and decentralized, everything is tradable. So tradable commodity, people will use it as investment. So if you have a free storage on your computer, on your server, you will turn into money maker by earning these Filecoins. Now let's look into the issue 2. This is all from the research paper. Okay, this is not what I am saying. I'm just took it from some of the paper or some of the sites. So the issue 2, which is there, so it says that equity. Equity means that the centralized storage and cryptocurrency like Filecoin to succeed, large number of users must buy into the system by sharing their available storage space and internet connection. But this assumption that most users have available free data space to share and access to the cheap broadband internet, this is often not in the case of many parts of the world where it is not there. In a developed country, you will have a free space available. People are ready to do that. You will have a proper internet connection and all. But there are certain people without the storage space, without internet connection, will become a significant disadvantage in this particular kind of a storage. So some user try to get around this problem by placing their IPFS nodes on centralized servers or cloud host. But so this is again the opposite of decentralization. That means you are giving a power to one particular platform, like for example AWS. So centralized storage and Web3, in order to succeed that, the paper said that we as a society first need to address some global inequity issues, right? The digital divide, which we say. So digital divide means that some people who have the power of internet, who have the resources on the internet, like storage spaces on cloud or on the servers, but some people don't have. So it is about that. So you have to solve that equity problem. Okay. And the number 3 issue is the data permanence. That means in the current web, which we are using now, is built on data mutability. That means nothing in the web is permanent. You can create a domain name, change wherever, change the content of it. You can set up a server and change its IP address. You can upload a file, modify it, delete it later. So there is a flexibility which is allowing us to rapidly, evolving that web or modifying the content. So mutability is a great for content publishing, designing and development, and piracy also. So thing can be deleted off in a centralized storage environment, in a centralized power, including the service provider, law enforcement and government control, whatever you have. Even the censor can, or the government also can ban certain sites, certain content. So that can be possible. But in a decentralized storage situation powered by a blockchain, the data immutability or data permanence is, essential. How do we do that? If a blockchain domain points out at resource and the resource is modified, the system break. We know that, the chain break. In the real world example, when an art NFT is sold, like I will talk about the NFTs, somebody is selling a digital art as an NFT. The image of the NFT points to, if they delete it, the NFT to retain its value, the storage of the artifact should be permanent, should not be deletable by anybody. That means immutable. So immutability or permanence is necessary to ensure The file in the decentralized network are not tampered with. And those of us who live or who want to do in the world, live in the world of P2P sharing, remember that there was, if you remember in P2P sharing, where we were sharing the music and all these kinds of files, there was one kind of a virus which became very famous in that particular thing was MP3. So that can also happen. So once the file is uploaded to a decentralized storage system like IPFS, it cannot be changed. If the file need to be updated, a new set of IPFS block should be added to the system. And those new objects should contain the address of the old version. That is what I told you in the last one, to have a connectivity, a chain of connectivity. So this can not give us a data permanence. It can give us a data history, but not a permanence. So this is something which is a little bit harmful, and this is where the people are working on. There are certain kinds of a law which is also need to be checked into, which is related to privacy, GDPR, CCPA, and the law in the European continent that, or in the California, you have a Consumer Privacy Act, the CCPA. All these have give anybody a legal right to demand that their data can be removed. So in blockchain, this cannot be, this particular protocols and regulatory cannot be achieved, because in the decentralized storage, you have a data permanency. So a single node will refuse to delete the data which is persisting. So there is something which has to be dealt with. So this is one thing. Now let's talk about crypto mining and forging. So when we are talking about Web3 and blockchain, a lot of people, talk about how do you mine cryptocurrency. So what exactly is going on there? Is there a digital mine somewhere where people are sent with their computer with a virtual pixel, or a thing to dig out the coin? What does the mining means? The mining term is very confusing because it does not describe what is actually happening in the mining process. So how the process of adding a block to a blockchain is very complicated. People don't know anything about that, or many few people know about it. So wherever a block is added to a blockchain, when we say that, wherever a new block is added to blockchain, it is open for next set of transaction. If this is an open blockchain, these are all closed, and this is open for next set of transaction, this block will stay open for a set period of time. In Bitcoins, that period is 10 minutes until a certain number, or see, either it is a 10-minute or a certain number of transactions, another data has been added to the block size limit. So block reaches its size limit, then it becomes closed. And after, when it becomes closed, in the block, the participant on the blockchain network start working on the consensus for the block. And this is necessary because the transactions are added in the centralized network. So there are several different versions of the history which says how the blocks are added. So transaction records are linear, asynchronous in the blockchain. That means it goes in linear, in a sequence. It is a linear sequence. So when you are adding a particular block, the block creators are called miners or forgers. Depending on what is a consensus mechanism used in the managed blockchain community to create a block with a specific version of the event or whatever it is it goes for validation. If the majority of people in the community vote, like 51% of the people, the majority, validate that particular block, that means they accept that block, then that block get added on the blockchain. So when a new block open, a new block is filled with the content or whatever it is there, and the block get closed and added to the chain of the block only after validation by the people, other people consensus. If they get the 51% of vote for adding this, So they become a part of the blockchain, and that becomes a truth. So the work of adding a transaction to block and creating a block and getting a validation for block is rewarded with the cryptocurrency. That's called mining. So whenever a new block get accepted, once it is created, then it get validation, and when it get added to the chain of the block, then only a cryptocurrency is rewarded. So the present rate of mining I found on the net. This is a consensus which I say. So present rate of mining, which is about adding a block to the Bitcoin blockchain, is 6.25 Bitcoins, which is about 144 blocks are added to the blockchain each day, meaning 900 new Bitcoins are issued each day. I may get wrong also because I got this figure from some of the websites. In short, mining and forging means doing the work of adding a transaction to the block, adding a block to the blockchain after validation or getting acceptance from the other members in the community. So the miner and the forgers are then paid in cryptocurrency for their work as incentive to do the work of building a block in the blockchain. So this is called mining. So I'll explain this with the help of video.
You may ask yourself, where do Bitcoins come from? Bitcoins aren't printed out like traditional money. They're mined out of the system. A miner is just a person with a computer that runs a mining program on it. The reason it's called mining is because, just like any other natural resource, there is a finite amount of Bitcoins. The maximum amount of Bitcoins that can be generated is 21 million. Until today, over 12 million Bitcoins were mined. Just like real-world mining, you need to invest energy in order to extract these Bitcoins. These miners' computers need to solve complex mathematical problems, and once it solves them, new Bitcoins are generated and awarded to them. But miners don't just generate new Bitcoins. They also use their computers to verify transactions and prevent fraud. So more miners means faster transaction verifications and less fraud. That's why we want to compensate miners for their hard work. When verifying a transaction, the miner gets a small fee out of that transaction for his work. So miners get paid twice, once for verifying the transactions, and again when they successfully generate new Bitcoins. Sounds profitable? Well, not so fast. Satoshi, the guy who invented Bitcoin, wanted the number of Bitcoins that were mined each time to remain constant, no matter how many miners came aboard. That's why the difficulty of mining increases as more miners join the network. In 2009, you could mine 200 Bitcoins with your personal computer at home. In 2014, it will take you about 98 years to mine just one. That's why ASIC miners were invented. Super powerful computers designed just for mining Bitcoins. But since so many miners have joined in the past few years, it's still almost impossible to mine alone. To solve this problem, mining pools were invented. Groups of miners formed together to deal with the growing difficulty of Bitcoin mining. Each miner gets paid for a relative share of the work. So that's how Bitcoins are born, through miners. For more information, visit 99bitcoins.com, a non-technical blog about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency.
Okay, so let's move to the other part. So it's a complex kind of a mathematical models which they try to solve. So that's how I will be talking about something more about that in the later slides. So there is another term which is very popular in this world, which is called proof of work. I think in the last session somebody was asking about that. So in a decentralized blockchain, in the Web3, there is something called proof of work. Again, this is some kind of a consensus mechanism used by Bitcoin, which we discussed, that there should be the community of people who come together, the network of people or miners need to agree and validate that. So the reason why you hear about people building mining farm with hundreds and thousands of computers, why they are running a high power graphic cards, because in order to generate one Bitcoins, you can't do it with a normal computer. You need to have a high power graphic card and thousands and thousands of computers running. So that's why people are talking about a lot about environmental impact of these kinds of Bitcoin generation, because a lot of electricity is consumed, a lot of heat is produced, all those kinds. So proof of the work is a validation method which I was discussing in the last slide, it's a method designed to make it very expensive to add data to the blockchain. Expensive means it only makes sense to add a winning block to the chain. Not every block which is created can get added to the chain. It is only after validation. So it becomes a little expensive. And when it get added, the creator of that get your bitcoins, or he get rewarded with that. So this is done in a very crudest possible way by forcing a miner to burn electricity by guessing a random number. Okay. And this random number, then compiling a hash, and then you check and guess the right number. So there will be a guessing of the random number you have to develop, and most of the people use a lot of complex mathematical model to guess this random number. So if you guess the right number, you get paid in bitcoins. If you guess the wrong number, you just spend a lot of money on electricity to do nothing. So when a new block is open, as I was telling in the last session, the network generates a very complex random sequence of symbols called target hash. You can see on the slide. Miners use their computer to throw millions of guesses at their network until someone matches that hash. And when the block is set to close, you remember I told in the last slide that it can close every 10 minutes. So however, whoever has guessed the hash or was closest to the hash, that is less than that hash, but not exactly matching, wins the contest. So it's very difficult. Then the block is closed and added to the blockchain. And they get paid the current rate of mining the block at the time of, today when I was searching, it said 6.25 bitcoins. The work in the proof of work is your willingness to burn and get paid for electricity to win a lottery. So now as the number of miners, as it was shown in the video also, going up day by day, the complexity of the target hash is also going. This means to reduce competition or too many miners means too many expensive. It becomes too expensive to mine and too difficult to mine. Bitcoin is worth more and more money. So it quickly becomes an arm race. So you need to have more computers with a good graphic card capability, more electricity you are willing to work, and you are more likely to win. There is a lot of environmental impact already. I told you about that. So the proof of work is an enormous intentional waste of energy. So why is proof of work being used then? In a part because it solves the immutability problem. To see why, actually what happens when the block is created. First, let's see that process. First, the network set a target hash, which I told you just now. Okay. And this is a number that need to be guessed. Next, the miner create a hash from the transaction data in the block header. This is where the hash of the previous block is stored, and guess a nonce. Nonce is a number used once. So it is called n-once. N-once. It's very difficult to pronounce. That means a number used once. This n-once is a key. If a miner only use a transaction data and block header to create a hash, they would get the same hash. So n-nonce is the random number that makes a unique hash, and that hash need to match the target hash which is generated. So there is no mathematical perfect model to hit the right number or to say that, okay, I use this model, I can get the target hash number very matching to the hash. So no one's is a truly random guess, and no one's will create a matching hash. It's again a truly random thing. So a brute force, a huge energy on the computer, huge computing power is needed to mine a new block. And when hash is created by the miner, the target value they need to submit to the network for the verification is also called the proof of work. Okay. So other miners then check the entire block to verify everything is correct in the process. So it is not like easy to add a block. After verification by all the miners, the entire blockchain and verifying the entire blockchain is not being tampered with, because you remember that every block contain a hash of the previous block. We discussed that. So if anything has changed, this hash also will change. If the block is valid, then there is a 51% of the miners should agree to this. And then the nonce is added to the, no one is added to the block, and you get paid for that in the cryptocurrency when it is added. So that's a reward. So miner who get the right nonce and the mine the block is paid a reward in the cryptocurrency. So by this method, a new block contain not only the transaction, but also the hash of the previous block. So this is how the cryptocurrency is generated. Okay. So this is the reward. The cryptocurrency is a reward. Let's see the proof of the work.
What is proof of work? Originally dated back to 1993, the proof of work concept was developed to prevent denial of service attacks and other service abuse, such as spam on a network, by requiring some work from the service user, usually meaning processing time by a computer. In 2009, Bitcoin introduced an innovative way of using proof of work as a consensus algorithm that is used to validate transactions and broadcast new blocks to the blockchain. It has then spread to become a widely used consensus algorithm in many cryptocurrencies. Has found a solution to a puzzle, they will be able to broadcast the block to the network, where all the other miners will then verify that the solution is correct. Let's take an example. Bitcoin is a blockchain-based system that is maintained by the collective work of decentralized nodes. Some of these nodes are known as miners and are responsible for adding new blocks into the blockchain. In order to do so, miners need to try and guess a pseudo-random number, aka nonce. This number, when combined with the data provided in the block and passed through a hash function, must produce a result that matches given conditions. For example, a matching result is found. The other nodes will verify the validity of the outcome, and the miner node is rewarded with a block reward. Therefore, it is impossible to add a new block into the main chain without first finding a valid nonce, which in turn generates the solution of a specific block, called block hash. Each validated block contains a block hash that represents the work done by the miner. This is why it's called proof of work. Proof of work helps to protect the network against numerous different attacks. A successful attack would require a lot of computational power and a lot of time to do the calculations, and therefore it would be inefficient since the incurred cost would be greater than the potential rewards for attacking the network. One issue with proof of work is that mining requires expensive computer hardware that consumes a large amount of power, and while the complicated algorithm calculations guarantee the security of the network, these calculations aren't able to be utilized beyond that. While proof of work may not be the most efficient solution, it is still one of the most popular methods of reaching consensus in blockchains. There are already alternative methods and approaches trying to solve the problem, but only time will tell what method will be the successor of proof of work. Stay tuned for more content and don't forget to check out our other videos. What is proof of work?
So basically the proof of work is about the consensus by the other miner to accept that block in the blockchain. And if it is done, then only the cryptocurrency is done. So now the new thing which is creating a lot of buzz is about, from 2021 it started, it's about NFT. So which is called non-fungible token. So suddenly there are, there were stories of people in auction house selling NFTs of simple computers, graphic for $millions in crypto coins. And everybody from the Silicon Valley, started trading on that. Even TikTok were talking about NFTs. Concert tickets were sold in NFT, medical records, land deeds. So many things were there which was happening on the NFTs on the blockchain. So there were some people who were saying NFT are scams. Even I also thought like that, because how can people buy virtual assets? So a new type of a multi-level marketing scheme, I thought it is like that. But then NFT is the only thing which is existing and it has become a reality now, and everybody is talking about this. Every company is going. I will just show you a video of Gucci company. So how they are using NFT and earning in millions. So this has become a truth now. There is a significant amount of investment in form of money which is happening in NFTs, and there's a huge development. So what is NFT? So NFT is a token, a tradable entity which represent an asset on blockchain, just like a coin or any other token. So this NFT is unique. That is one of the best characteristic about NFT. It can't be duplicated. It is unique and non-fungible, means it cannot be copied. Non-fungible means one person who has one NFT cannot be copied, cannot be substituted, cannot be divided. So unlike coins or token that are interchangeable, holding a particular NFT is very important for somebody because it is because of its uniqueness, which make its value. Okay. So for example, I'll give you one example over here. Okay. This is what I said. Let's take an example. So when we are, let's say there is a festival and a food truck festival, and they have come up with some kind of a offer to support some disabled people and some special VIP people. Under that, some disabled people are their supporters with a cooking classes or special drink, something like that. They may give them a free cooking classes. They may give them a special drink free of cost, or they may give them access to VIP area where they can sit and have food. To do this, they issue something called food truck NFT. This is a real case which I'm telling you. Okay. Specifying that what perk the holder of the NFT has. So supporter, these people, disabled people and the VIP people whom they are giving the NFT, or sometimes they have opened this NFT for people who can buy that. And these people who are buying this NFT will have these access to VIP launch, special drink, cooking free classes, sharing recipe with them, all those. So the people who buy NFT now use that as a proof to access these services which this food truck is providing. Suppose if a particular, but this is available for a particular period of time. But these people, suppose if they are not willing to take these services, they can trade and sell this NFT to somebody else who will now gain access to this VIP launch or special drink or recipe. So this example says that people believe NFT can eventually be used for, and it is a unique thing which can be transferable and tradable. So let me explain, in a breakdown manner. So NFT basically is a unique token, means there is only one of it. It cannot be copied. And the blockchain know this and will always treat this as a unique entity, anything which is NFT. And that token can contain whatever you want. Usually they should contain. It can be a hyperlink to an asset stored elsewhere on the web, a digital assets. It can be a cartoon avatar which has come, or it can be a smart contract. It can be a artifact. And this will, but because it's an NFT, it is stored somewhere, it's unique. There's a cost of storing this data on the blockchain. Is very high. So NFT contain 5 megabyte of images in a Ethereum blockchain and will cost you around $500,000 in a gas fees. Suppose if you want to hold a block with NFT into it, but you can gain it because you can serve that. I will show you that example in the video. So the services charge are, this NFT charges are for holding that on the blockchain. So you can, out of that, you can give a link of an image in that, which you can charge around $70 for that. So NFT is a very unique token that point to an external assets which can give you an asset in the form of digital assets, or it can do something for you. It can be, it's not coupon. I'm not talking about that. So holding an NFT of an art piece does not mean that you own the art, because most of the NFT is in the form of artifact. So a painter, a very famous painter selling a NFT in the form of artifact doesn't mean that you hold that and you say that this belongs, I'm the owner of it. It means that you own the NFT and the token on the blockchain, and you can own that and it's unique for you. But you are not the owner. You will own that. The owner will say that I'm not going to sell the same kind of NFT to anybody because it's unique in nature. So there are lot more examples which can be in the form of NFT, like concert tickets, right? Any ticket. So in this way, your ticket fraud can become less, if it is unique token on the blockchain. So you can have a special privilege. You can have a membership of certain clubs or certain hotels or certain perks with that. You can sell artifact. You can raise money for the fund using NFT by selling certain things. You can do investment in real assets. Okay. And you can do anything. So this is something which I was talking about. And then there is a company called Gucci. These are premium brand. So what Gucci did, they collaborated with a company called Super Plastic and created an NFT, which is a handmade collectible digital asset called Super Gucci. This Gucci has teamed up with Super Plastic, which is a world leading creator of animated celebrities. So celebrated and celebrities animated form, and you can take that form. And limited vinyl toys also they sell. So this digital collectability called Super Gucci was launched by Gucci and Super Plastic Company, which was called Crypto Janky. It was designed in Italy. It was designed because it is Gucci. And it has a very signature pattern of the Gucci, the icon and the symbols. And it was made available to people to buy. So I'll show you the video of that. So in the first part, you saw that there was an animated character or a kind of animated celebrity. That's an avatar. You can take that avatar and you can wear those NFT jacket by buying in dollars. So Gucci has a store, a metaverse store called Gucci Wallet. And in that particular store, your avatar can get into and you can buy in $1 all kinds of a Gucci physical assets which are available in the form of digital. So you can wear a digital jacket of a Gucci, which has a similar physical jacket available in the stores. And in the store, it will be very expensive. Most of the people can't afford it. But you can have the same thing and you can make your avatar wear it. I don't know what joy people get out of it. But when I saw and read the news, it said that there is billions and billions of dollars the Gucci and the other companies are earning. Even the Barbie doll, I heard about it. Barbie doll also came up with a digital avatar of a Barbie doll, and you can just select any dress from any country or anything. You can design the dress and make that particular digital Barbie doll wear it, and you can make the Barbie doll speak to you, digital avatar, and you can make so these are certain crazy things which are happening in the form of NFTs, and people are getting crazy on of this. Now, there is one more term which I'm going to explain in the last part, which is called crypto wallet. Now, we were talking about cryptocurrencies. So, and we also learned that when we add a transaction to the blockchain, you need a unique username and a password. So on the blockchain, so what is actually a crypto wallet? I'm going to explain you that. So when you add a transaction on the blockchain, actually to add a transaction on a blockchain, you need a very unique username and password. Okay. And on the blockchain, that means public address and a private key to access that address. And this address is just like your bank account number, which is very unique. An address is assigned to any transaction you make. So if you buy a coin, a transaction is added to the blockchain saying this address now has X number of coins. But if you sell an NFT, a transaction is added saying this NFT transferred from address A to address B. This is as similar to what we do when we manage money in our bank account. Except the difference is it is happening on a blockchain. So there is no intermediary bank here. To use an address to make a transaction on the blockchain, you need to know the private key for that address. Just like a password, a very unique private key. And this private key is very complex, cryptographic password that has a bunch of security feature built into it. Very impossible for anybody to guess it and hack your password. So when you make a transaction on a blockchain, you pass both your public key address and your private key, the password. Now, because these private keys are so complex and so difficult to imagine, and because you're likely to have more than one address, to keep a track of all these addresses, your public and private keys, we use something called crypto wallet. So this wallet is equivalent of your digital bank card. It holds all your account information on blockchain, all your passwords, and you use it to make transaction on the blockchain. And the key to remember here is just like a bank card where the coins, whatever coins and tokens or NFT or other asset you own, it is not in the crypto wallet. The wallet is just a tool to access those NFT, those coins and those token on blockchain. And also you can modify the information on the blockchain using this crypto wallet. So there are different kinds of wallets which are available as a crypto wallet. The most commonly and user-friendly version is called web-based. Okay. And the web-based offered by service provider. This is like just having a bank account. You log into the service, you see all your holdings. You use this service to make trade on the blockchain. And again, it is at present, it is not decentralized at all. So your wallet is only a secure secure service given by a service provider. Okay. So this service is a centralized service given by a company. Okay, which has to adhere to the regular laws and it is in control of the government or a private organization. Okay, so anytime any law enforcement can block the services of this wallet to you or may seize this assets from you based on the criminal behavior or any kind of suspicions on you. So this is not decentralized, right? It is a centralized at present. Okay, so now the other one which commonly used is a browser based or a software based on computer wallet, where you run a software on your device and manage your account and password yourself. So this is more secure. You avoid any government control and sanction on it. The device become very secure because it is under your responsibility. You have another wallet called cold wallet or hardware wallet. It's just like a pen drive, a physical device where you store your account information, including your public key and private key. So cold wallets are a specialized kind of a USB device with a password feature built in. Plug in the USB into your computer, you're able to make a transaction on the blockchain. You don't have to remember anything. So it's a physical device, just like a car key. So you lose that USB, you lose access to your account forever. So this is called the crypto wallet. Next thing, I'll just go fast into it. Okay. What is smart contract which we're talking about? So when we're talking about crypto coins and token as a passive assets, there should be some security. How do you deal? How do you build trust? So smart contract is added to token to make it as an active agent. So smart contract is a self-executing function embedded in the token that perform the action on the blockchain based on the transaction. That means, for example, let us take the food truck example again. Okay. So the food truck festivals is selling the NFT, giving the NFT holder an access to VIP cooking classes. So since attendee is likely to attend that cooking classes only once, and there is a time period under which they have to attend, otherwise the offer expires. So there is a high chance that attendee will sell the NFT and trade because it's tradable item with someone else. To ensure that this does not become a situation where the original person who has got NFT from you should use it, and it should not be used by the other people who pass on this, the NFT contain a small contract that sends 15% of the purchase of the price of the NFT back to the owner of the NFT who has sold it. So every time when you're trading or selling it to the other person, the 15% of whatever amount you're getting, it goes to the seller, the original seller. So the food truck festival want to now. So when the food festival, when they are rewarding the NFT, they can control the NFT trading into the multiple people by putting the smart contracts. Okay. So smart contract is basically embedded. So this is what I told you. Okay. So smart contract is an embedded contractual agreement into the assets, which allow the assets itself to execute a contract without any kind of a forgery into it. So it bind the seller and the buyer into some contractual agreement which is embedded into it. Like just like I told you that food truck will sell the NFT to a certain set of people and will have a contract that if they sell that NFT to the other people, every time it is sold across to the other people in the chain, 15% of that selling amount will go to the original seller or the person who has owned that NFT or who have created that NFT. So that is one example. It's not necessary that everybody does that kind of a contract. So there is a kind of a trigger which happens. Trigger can be the selling. So there, whenever the trigger happens, a smart contract come into action. It can be in the form of revenue sharing, just like I told you, or expiry. That can also be an action. Okay. So whenever, so this can be a scenario which can get triggered with something. So smart contracts are on blockchain. They are self-executing. There is no room for dispute because this help in removing the disputes. You know, somebody cannot say, though, I own this, I didn't get this. All those kinds of problem get solved with this kind of a small, contract problem. So whenever you are anything, any kind of a digital assets or any kind of thing is transferred, there is a lot of complication. And if in order to solve these kinds of a problem in execution or transfer, these smart contracts are embedded into tokens. Okay. And these tokens will contain those kinds of things which get triggered. It like in the form of transferring of the revenue, a part of revenue, or getting expiration, or it is not if you sell more than 2 people, it doesn't work. All those kinds of things will get executed. Okay. So the next and the last thing which I'm going to cover now in this session is DAO, decentralized autonomous organization. Okay. So when we are talking about cryptocurrency, token, NFT, smart contract on the blockchain, it lead to something called the blockchain based organization. So blockchain based organization are called decentralized autonomous organization, DAO in the short. The basic idea is to set up a series of token and NFT with a smart contract, and these smart contracts execute the function of the organization. So like a traditional organization where you have board of directors, You have some employees as an accountant, management people, and all of them share a revenue in the form of salary. And let us take the food truck example again. Okay, the festival. This example which I'm taking throughout the thing to explain you. Now, let's say in order to fund this particular food truck festival, a new type of token is issued on the blockchain called Food Truck Vote or FTV. Okay. The festival sell this token to the food truck owner and to the people who are attending this festival. The holder of 100 and more tokens get voting rights and decision to make about the festivals, like what food trucks are allowed to attend when the event take place, the price of food truck coins. Each FTV is worth one vote, and smart contract are used to track that one vote. So when they vote for, what is the result of this vote? The food truck that win the vote, they are allowed to participate in the festivals, and they are issued with a special food truck NFTs or smart contract which expired after that particular food season is over. So it sounds like a normal shareholder company, just like a normal shareholder company, where instead of share being issued and shareholder meeting being held, a special voting tokens are issued, and token holder meet in the chat form like Discord or a place to vote. And so DOE is just like a shareholder organization wearing a crypto jackets. That means they are having a lot of voters or in the form of shareholders who are allowed to vote and give a consensus for money transactions. So DOE is a network of those people who are allowed to vote and accept or validate one transaction in the blockchain to add a block. So smart contractor, so DOA, when we are talking about DOA, I will just give you some example. One of the most important, DOA which I came across was Unisap. I'll just show you that. So Unisap is the community-based decentralized exchange on the Ethereum network. Then there is also one more called Decentraland, which is very common. It is mainly common for metaverse virtual world, where people are buying virtual assets on that. They're buying space on Decentraland lands, and these are administered by DAO. Okay, so Decentraland is also one. You can go and play games like Gamify, and you can do a lot of things. It creates a metaverse environment for you. So these are a thing. So last part is whether is the Web3 is the future of web or not. Is it going to be the next version of the web? Is the Web3 what we discussed in this particular session? Are we going to see the decentralized finance? Well, the answer for this depends on a lot of variables. One of variable is us, we. Web3 are presented as an idea. It is just evolving. It is proposed by many people with a vision of the future of web. This idea may appeal to some of us. It may look bad for some other people. So right now, Web3 and block-based technologies, if I have gone through these articles from where I have taken this. So when we're talking about Web3 and blockchain technologies, a lot of backing from venture capitalists and people. Are there a lot of companies which are heavily investing in the cryptocurrency and financial market? There are a lot of web community which is evolving. The third version of the web may win or not. That depends on these community, how they redesign, how the regulatory and the government accept this. Okay. There was certain news on this, that how people are investing so much on cryptocurrencies, decentralized solutions, blockchain adding spaces. So the whatever form the next evolution of the web takes, that depends on the community of people supporting it. That depends on the government regulatory coming together, the entire world coming together and accepting this. Then only this particular thing. So this is not so easy, right? Because what is happening is the entire system will have a drastic 360-degree change if we come with this. So this is what is my session today. So I'm going to stop here. Time is already up. So the last session will be there. One more session is left with your batch. In case if you people want something, because there was one session I wanted to take on RPA, robotic process automation. If you want, I can take on that, or if you suggest, I can, if I can do it on, on that technology, not if I should be confident on that to, take a session on that, I will take. Otherwise, I will go on RPA, or if you want, you can suggest on the chat. Or maybe we can have an interactive session where we can discuss about certain things in general. And maybe you people can present something and talk about that. We can have a discussion on certain technology or certain things like that. You please tell me on the chat box. Open this chat. Yes. Anybody want to say something? No? You can speak also. You can tell me also. Anyway, then it is bye for the day. Let us see if I find something interesting. I'll take up that issues and we can, okay, fine. Somebody is saying something. Okay, product design patent process. Okay, and cost. Okay, see, I have two patent. One is in the process of grant. If you're talking about that, maybe I can take a session on that. But I don't know whether anybody else is very interested in that. So you can just tell me if you want on that, or because this will be out of the context. But if you want, I can give information to you. There's no problem. And you want, I can help you also, because in our Jain University, we have a entire team who looks after the patent process and all. And if you collaborate, because patent process is always in collaboration. So if you're in collaboration with some other community, again, it's a community work. So I'm in one of the community in WhatsApp group also, where they discuss and request that they have an idea and somebody can club with it or not. So that should be there again. What we can, if you have any idea, I can help you with that, and we can go for first the patent publishing, and then it goes for product designing approval, and then it goes for granting, which takes time, and there's a money also which is involved in that. But if you are in collaboration with me, if you are doing it, most of the time, maybe it will be free of cost because my university will take care of that. But then university name will come in that. Okay. So if you don't want that, maybe I can tell you, because you have to go to a particular consultancy or lawyer. They will help you in filing the patent. And there will be a nominal charge around 35,000 or 40,000 there. Then it get published if it is accepted. Then it takes some time for people to, go against it or something like that. There is a website also, which I can tell you later about it. So if you want, I can take a session on that. Okay, fine then. All the best to you. Have a nice day. Almost the day is already over. So thank you. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thank you, madam.